Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to get into a fundamental truth about what it really means to be influential. And here's a spoiler. It has almost nothing to do with how well you talk and absolutely everything to do with how well you ask. Oh yeah, we've all been there, right? You lay out this perfect, logical, completely airtight argument, and it just lands with a thud. Nothing changes. Well, today, we're going to unpack exactly why that keeps happening, and more importantly, what you can do about it. You see, the classic approach, the one we all default to, is just pushing facts and data at someone. We hope the sheer weight of all that information will somehow convince them. But this method usually backfires, because it treats the other person like a passive bucket you're just pouring info into, not an active participant in the conversation. Okay, so let's get into it. Here's the game plan for today. We're going to take apart that old method and build a new, much more powerful one, piece by piece. First things first, let's get right to the root of the problem. Why is our natural instinct to just tell people things so ineffective when we're trying to actually change minds or get someone on board? So here's the crucial point. A statement, well, it can be accepted or it can be rejected. It's kind of like a closed door. But a good question, that's an invitation. It opens the door to a real dialogue, to creating something together, to a shared discovery, and that is where real influence lives. All right, so now let's talk about the solution. We're going to completely shift our dynamic, away from pushing our ideas onto people and toward pulling insights out of them. And trust me, this is where the magic really starts to happen. This right here is the new definition we're working with. See, it's not about winning an argument anymore. It's about being a guide. Because when people arrive at a conclusion themselves with your help, the idea isn't yours anymore, it's theirs. And guess what? People don't argue with their own ideas. So how do we actually do this? Look, it's not about just firing off random questions. It's about having a crystal clear strategy. Every single question you ask should be aimed at one of these 5 key goals. What's so great about this is how it maps out the entire journey of an influential conversation. You start by just trying to understand their world, which lets you build trust. And from that foundation of rapport, then you can guide the dialogue. You can handle any resistance that comes up, and finally, you help them generate their own commitment to take action. It's such a powerful sequence. And here are the basic tools in your new toolkit. You've got your open questions, the who, what, why, to explore and really understand the emotion behind their position. And then you have closed questions to just lock in facts. The real art is knowing when to expand the conversation and when to nail down a detail. And hey, don't forget confirmation questions like, so what I'm hearing is, to prove you're really paying attention. Okay, this might be the single most powerful question in this entire explainer. Seriously, instead of getting defensive when someone pushes back, you get curious. This one little question totally shifts the dynamic from a fight to a collaboration. It invites them to explain their logic, which gives you the exact key you need to understand and resolve the real issue, all without making them feel attacked. And this isn't just some clever communication trick. This is actually backed by science. Researchers call this phenomenon the question attitude effect. It turns out that the simple act of asking a question, instead of just barking a command, has a really profound and lasting impact on what a person does next. So how lasting are we talking? You'd be amazed. Studies have shown that asking someone, will you recycle, is way more effective at changing their behavior than telling them you should recycle. And the effect of that simple question, it can be measured for months afterward. Why? Because it forces a person to privately make a choice, to commit one way or the other. So we've talked a lot about the power of asking the right questions. But all of that is completely 100% useless if you don't master the second, equally important skill, actually truly listening to the answers. This is such a critical distinction. Most of us, if we're being honest, listen with the intent to reply. We're just waiting for a pause so we can jump in with our next brilliant point. Active listening, though, means listening with the intent to understand. It's all about making the other person feel seen and heard, which, as it turns out, is the absolute bedrock of all trust. Think of this as your checklist for becoming a much better listener. And notice, it's not just about what you hear, it's also about what you see. Leaning in a little, maintaining eye contact, noticing their unspoken signals, like if their lips tighten up, that might mean disagreement. All of that is crucial data. When you do these things, you end up co-creating solutions and you just dramatically reduce defensiveness. Okay, so theory is great and all, but let's see how this all comes together in one of the most proven, most effective sales frameworks ever created, one that's built entirely around strategic questioning. Spin selling is just the perfect embodiment of that pull dynamic we were talking about. Instead of telling a customer what they need, you ask a series of specific questions that leads them to tell you what they need and why your solution is the exact thing they've been looking for. Let's break this down real quick. Situation questions just set the stage. Problem questions start to uncover some pain points. Implication questions, now these make that pain feel urgent, maybe even costly. And finally, need payoff questions get the customer to actually say out loud how much better things would be with a solution. That right there, that fulfills that fifth strategic goal we talked about, generating their own commitment. It's a masterclass in guiding discovery. So as we start to wrap this up, let's boil everything down to a simple set of rules. How do you use this incredibly powerful skill set in a way that's both super effective and, completely ethical? Here's your cheat sheet. The goal here is always genuine connection and finding a solution that works for everyone, not some clever trick to get your way. It's about building bridges, not winning battles. The second it starts to feel like an ego duel, you've already lost. Always aim for that win-win. So as we finish up, just look at that question. In your very next important conversation, whether it's with your boss, your partner, or a client, what's it going to be? Are you going to default to the old way, just telling and hoping your logic wins the day? Or will you have the courage to ask, to listen, and to truly start to move people? The choice and all the power that comes with it is yours.